Commander Zixthor stared at the star map in front of him and tried not to yawn. The lights blinked in the same pattern they had blinked for the past 40 cycles of his career. Green dots for friendly ships, blue zones for safe trading routes, empty black space everywhere else. Another quiet day, his tactical officer Vryn said from her station. She was young, only 5 cycles out of the academy. She still found patrol duty exciting. Zixthor remembered when he felt that way too. The Caltherian Concordat Border Patrol had one job: watch the trade routes. They checked ships, looked for pirates, and made sure everyone followed the rules. It was boring work. Pirates were rare these days. The galaxy had been at peace for 300 standard years. Most problems got solved in courts, not space battles. Zixthor's ship, the Morning Light, was one of 12 vessels in the patrol fleet. They were good ships built for watching and helping, not fighting. Nobody needed warships anymore. Those days were long gone, buried in history that most people preferred to forget. "Commander?" Vryn said suddenly. Her voice changed. She sat up straighter. "I have something strange on sensors." Zixthor walked over to her station. Finally, something different. Probably just a malfunction, but at least it broke up the routine. "What is it?" "Unknown contact, near the Kepler sector." Vryn's fingers moved across her controls. "The readings don't make sense." The Kepler sector. Zixthor knew that area. Nobody went there. The whole region was filled with radiation storms and unstable stars. It was marked as unsafe on every map. "Probably just interference from the storms," he said. "No, sir. This is definitely a ship." Vryn looked up at him. Her eyes were wide. "A big one. And it's moving through the radiation like it's not even there." That got Zixthor's attention. He pulled up the sensor data on his own screen. Vryn was right. Something was definitely out there. The energy signature was wrong, though. It didn't match anything in the Concordat database. Not Caltherian, not Vrexian, not any of the known species. "Get Captain Talara on the comm," Zixthor ordered. "And move the fleet to investigate." 10 minutes later, all 12 patrol ships were heading toward the Kepler sector. Captain Talara's voice came through the speakers from her command ship. "All vessels maintain standard formation. This is probably just a lost colony ship or a science vessel. We'll offer assistance and escort them to safety." Zixthor hoped she was right, but something felt off. That energy signature bothered him. It was too strong, too hot. Concordat ships ran cool and efficient. This thing was burning like a star. As they got closer, Vryn kept updating her readings. "Sir, the vessel is huge. 3 times the size of our biggest carrier. And the heat signature. No Concordat ship could run that hot without melting its own systems." "Try hailing them," Zixthor said. "All standard frequencies." The communications officer worked his controls. "Transmitting on all 47 known languages, sir." They waited. Silence. No response. They tried again. And again. Nothing. The unknown ship just kept moving, steady and silent. Then it emerged from the radiation storm. Zixthor had seen many ships in his career. Beautiful Caltherian vessels with their smooth curves, practical Vrexian haulers, elegant diplomatic cruisers. This thing looked like none of them. It was massive and angular. Sharp edges and flat surfaces covered its hull. It looked brutal, aggressive, like it was built to hurt things, not explore or trade. Strange markings covered the sides, symbols he didn't recognize. Heat waves shimmered around it from engines that ran far too hot. "By the ancestors," someone whispered on the fleet channel. Captain Talara's voice came through, firm and professional. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Talara of the Caltherian Concordat Border Patrol. We come in peace. Do you require assistance?" For a long moment, nothing. Then static crackled through the speakers. A voice spoke in a language the computer didn't recognize. The translator AI worked hard, searching through databases, trying to make sense of the sounds, more static. More strange words. Then finally the translator found something. The voice came through broken and choppy. "This, U.S. Indomitable, identify your intentions, UASS." Nobody knew what that meant. And the tone of the voice was wrong. Not friendly or relieved like a lost ship should sound. It was cold, careful, almost suspicious. "We are the Caltherian Concordat," Talara replied. "We patrol this region to help travelers and maintain peace." "Where are you from?" "What is your destination?" Another pause. When the voice came back, the translator was working better. "We are from Earth. We are exploring." "Who are you?" What do you want? Earth. Zixthor checked the database. No planet called Earth in any concordant records. These people were from completely outside known space. First contact with an unknown species. This was huge. We want nothing, Talara said carefully. We offer friendship and assistance. We would like to extend an invitation. Would you come with us to the nearest diplomatic station? We can exchange information and welcome you properly to this region of space. The great ship hung in space, silent. Zixthor watched it on his screens. It hadn't powered down weapons. Wait, weapons? He looked closer at the sensor readings. That ship was covered in weapons. Gun ports, missile tubes, energy weapon arrays. It was a warship. A real warship, like the ones from the old history files before the galaxy found peace. We will accept, the voice from the Indomitable finally said. We will follow to your station, but we will maintain defensive posture. Do not approach closer than 10,000 kilometers, Captain Talara agreed quickly. Defensive posture seemed wise when dealing with an unknown heavily armed vessel. Understood. Please follow our navigation beacon. The journey will take 6 hours, the human ship acknowledged. The fleet formed up around it, keeping the requested distance. Zixthor stared at the massive warship on his screen. Something about it made him nervous. It wasn't just the weapons or the size. It was the way it moved, precise, controlled, like a predator. Sir, Vryn said quietly, I've been analyzing their hull. Those aren't just weapons. That's armor. Heavy armor. And their shields. She shook her head. Their shields are running at power levels that should be impossible. What kind of species builds ships like this? Zixthor didn't have an answer. The galaxy had been at peace for so long. Nobody built true warships anymore. Nobody needed them. But these humans, these people from Earth, they had built this monster. Why? As they traveled toward Harmony 7 diplomatic station, Zixthor couldn't shake a strange feeling. The galaxy was about to change. These humans were different from any species they had met before. And different in his experience usually meant complicated. He just hoped Captain Talara knew what she was doing. Bringing an unknown warship to a civilian station seemed risky. But then again, what choice did they have? The humans had agreed to come peacefully. Refusing them would be hostile. The trip passed slowly. The human ship followed exactly, never deviating from the course. Professional, disciplined, almost military. That word bothered Zixthor. Military. Nobody used that word anymore. Not in polite conversation. Approaching Harmony 7, the navigator announced. Station is on visual. Zixthor looked at the peaceful diplomatic station ahead. Then he looked at the human warship behind them. Two very different things about to meet. He had a bad feeling about what would happen next, but it was too late to turn back now. Harmony 7 station hung in space like a crystal sculpture. Its transparent domes and flowing architecture represented everything the Concordat believed in. Openness, peace, and cooperation. Ambassador Dalseth stood in the main observation deck, watching the human warship approach. The contrast was striking. His station looked like art. Their ship looked like a weapon. The Indomitable docked with a heavy clang that shook the station walls. Dalseth winced. These humans didn't do anything gently. Around him, representatives from all 3 major Concordat species gathered to witness first contact. Caltharanes with their scaled skin, Phyrexians with their 4 arms, his own people, the Selkari, with their flowing tentacles, all of them curious, all of them peaceful. The airlock opened. What emerged made everyone step back. The humans wore armor, not environmental suits, which would be normal. Armor. Hard plates covered their bodies. Helmets hid their faces. They moved with purpose, their hands near weapons on their belts. Dalseth felt his heart beat faster. In 300 years of peace, nobody came to diplomatic meetings dressed for war. The lead human removed her helmet. Ambassador Dalseth got his first look at a human face. 2 eyes, not 3 or 4. Flat features. Hair on top of the head. Skin without scales or patterns. They looked fragile. Soft. Almost primitive compared to the hardened species of the Concordat. But the eyes. Those eyes didn't look soft. They looked sharp, alert. Ready? I am Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Space Service, the human said. Her voice was clear and strong. This is Commander Park and Dr. Williams. We represent humanity in this first contact. Dalseth extended a tentacle in the traditional Concordat greeting of peace. The human hesitated, then reached out and grasped it with her hand. Her grip was firm, too firm. Welcome to Harmony 7, Captain Chen. I am Ambassador Dalseth. Please let us move to more comfortable surroundings. We have prepared a proper reception. The humans followed, but they didn't relax. Their eyes constantly moved, scanning everything. Their hands stayed near their weapons. Dalseth tried to understand. Were humans always this tense? Or did they not trust the Concordat? In the grand reception hall, Dalseth had arranged a formal welcome dinner. Foods from a dozen worlds filled the tables. Soft music played. Representatives from many species waited to meet these newcomers. It was how first contact always worked. Peaceful, civilized, friendly. The humans entered and immediately spread out. Captain Chen moved to one side. Commander Park took the other. Dr. Williams stayed in the middle. They were creating defensive positions. At a dinner party. Please sit, Dalseth said, gesturing to cushions arranged around the low tables. We have much to discuss. Tell us about Earth. Where is your homeworld? How long have you been traveling in space? Captain Chen remained standing. Before we discuss details, we need to understand the political situation in this region. What governments exist here? What are the military capabilities? Are there any active conflicts? The room went quiet. Military capabilities? Active conflicts? These were not normal first contact questions. Captain Chen, Dalseth said carefully. The Concordat has been at peace for 300 standard years. We have no conflicts. Military matters are handled by small peacekeeping forces. We settle disagreements through diplomacy and law. The human's expression didn't change. 300 years is a long time, impressive, but peace doesn't last forever. What defenses do you have against external threats? A Vrexian council member spoke up, her translator making her words sound amused. External threats? There are none. The galaxy is at peace. You seem very concerned with warfare, Captain Chen. Is humanity at war with someone? Not currently, Chen replied. But we prepare for possibilities. Hope for peace, prepare for war. It's kept us alive. This confused everyone. Prepare for war during peacetime? It seemed wasteful. Paranoid. One of the Caltherian representatives asked what everyone was thinking. How long has humanity been united? How long have you had interstellar travel? We unified 80 years ago, Chen said. We've been in space for 60 years. This is our first contact with other intelligent species. Dalseth felt his heart sink. 80 years. Humanity was very young. They would learn. They would see how the civilized galaxy worked. 60 years in space, and you've built ships like the Indomitable? Remarkable. Though I must ask, why build such a heavily armed vessel? Exploration ships don't usually need that many weapons. Where we come from, any ship leaving protected space needs to defend itself, Chen replied. The universe is dangerous. We didn't know what we'd find out here. But you found us, Dalseth said warmly, and we are peaceful. Perhaps now you can relax? Harmony 7 is one of the safest places in the galaxy. We are protected by Concordat law. No one would dare attack a diplomatic station. The human captain glanced at her officers. Something passed between them. Commander Park spoke for the first time. Ambassador, we appreciate the welcome. But in human history, we've learned that peace is fragile. We mean no offense. This is just how we operate. The dinner proceeded awkwardly. The humans ate their food with their mouths, chewing in a way the Concordat species found primitive. Most civilized species absorb nutrients through skin contact or injection. Watching humans bite and chew was unsettling. Worse was their conversation. They talked about weapons. Like other species talked about art, they discussed something called tactics and strategy. They mentioned battles, from their history with casualness that disturbed everyone. Listening, Commander Zixthor, assigned as the human liaison, sat with Captain Chen. He had to know more. Captain, you mentioned humanity unified 80 years ago. What came before that? Chen looked at him. War, lots of war. Humans spent most of our history fighting each other, nation against nation, tribe against tribe. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times. Zixthor felt sick. You fought your own species? Constantly. We had something called World War III just before unification. It killed 2 billion people. Chen said this like she was discussing the weather. After that, we decided fighting each other was stupid. We unified under one government and focused on reaching space. 2 billion dead. Zixthor couldn't process that number. The worst disaster in Concordat history killed 10,000. These humans had experienced death on a scale that seemed impossible. How did your species survive? He asked quietly. We learned, Chen said simply. We learned how to wage war efficiently. And then we learned when to stop waging it. Both lessons were necessary. The dinner ended early. The humans made everyone uncomfortable with their weapons and their paranoia, and their stories of endless warfare. Ambassador Dalseth offered them quarters on the station. Chen declined. They would sleep on their ship. More paranoia. As the humans left, Dalseth spoke with Captain Talara. "What do you think?" he asked. "I think they are very young and very scared," Talara said. "They'll learn. Give them time. They'll see how the galaxy works, how peaceful we are. They'll put away their weapons and join us properly." But Zixthor, who had listened to Chen's stories, wasn't sure. Humans didn't seem like a species that would put away their weapons. They seemed like a species that understood something the Concordat had forgotten. That peace only existed because no one had tested it in a long time. He looked out at the indomitable, dark and dangerous against the stars. Then an alert sounded through the station. Emergency signals. Something was entering the sector. Multiple ships. Unknown configuration. Coming in fast. On the sensors, 20 new contacts appeared. Big ones, and they were not friendly. The Kryloth had arrived. The alarms screamed through Harmony 7 station. Red lights flashed in every corridor. People ran in panic, not knowing where to go or what to do. The Concordat hadn't practiced for emergencies like this. Why would they? Nothing bad had happened in 300 years. Ambassador Dalseth stood frozen in the command center, staring at the sensor displays. 20 ships. 20 massive warships surrounding the station. They didn't look like Concordat vessels. They looked organic, like they had been grown instead of built. Dark and twisted, covered in strange protrusions that might be weapons or might be something worse. "What are they?" someone asked. An old Caltharian security officer answered, his voice shaking. "Kryloth. By the ancestors, it's the Kryloth." The name meant nothing to most people. It had been 400 years since anyone saw a Kryloth ship. They were ancient history. A nightmare from the past, a species that refused to join the Concordat, that viewed peace as weakness. They had disappeared into unknown space centuries ago. Everyone assumed they were gone. They were not gone. "Hail them," Dalseth ordered. His tentacles trembled. "Open communications. Offer negotiation." The communications officer tried. Nothing. The Kryloth ships just hung there, blocking all escape routes, silent, waiting, on the morning light. Commander Zixthor watched his sensor screen with growing dread. His patrol fleet of 12 ships looked tiny compared to the Kryloth vessels. His weapon systems were designed for stopping pirates and dealing with accidents. He had never fired them at another military ship. None of them had. Captain Talara's voice came through the fleet channel. She sounded calm, but Zixthor could hear the fear underneath. "All ships form defensive perimeter around Harmony 7. Power weapons to stand by. Prepare for possible combat." Combat. The word felt foreign. Wrong. Zixthor had trained for this in the academy 20 years ago. Theory and simulations. He'd never thought he would actually need it. "Kryloth vessels, this is Captain Talara of the Caltharian Concordat. This station is under Concordat protection. You are in violation of interstellar law. Leave immediately or face consequences." The Kryloth response came not in words but in action. One of their ships fired a weapon. A green beam of energy cut through space and struck a small courier ship trying to flee the system. The ship exploded instantly. 300 civilians died in seconds. The command center on Harmony 7 went silent. Then someone screamed. Others started crying. Dalseth felt his entire body go numb. They just killed people. Just like that. "No warning, no negotiation. Just death. All ships, open fire," Talara ordered. "Weapons free. Protect the station." The Concordat patrol fleet attacked. Their beam weapons lit up space with blues and greens. Their plasma torpedoes streaked toward Kryloth vessels. It looked impressive. It looked like they were fighting back. It didn't matter. The Kryloth shields absorbed the Concordat weapons easily. Then they returned fire. Their weapons were different, stronger, more focused, more deadly. A Kryloth plasma blast hit the patrol ship Sunset Dancer. Its shields failed instantly. The ship's hull tore open. Atmosphere vented into space along with crew members. The ship went dark and dead. "Sunset Dancer is gone," someone screamed on the fleet channel. "They're dead. They're all dead." Zixthor felt sweat run down his scales. His ship's shields were failing under Kryloth fire. His weapons barely scratched their hulls. This wasn't a battle. It was a massacre. They had no training for this. No experience. No hope. Another patrol ship exploded. Then another. The Kryloth weren't even trying hard. They were playing with the Concordat fleet, showing how weak they were. How helpless. On Harmony 7, the station's shields started failing. The Kryloth were targeting the station itself now. Thousands of civilians huddled in shelters that wouldn't protect them. Dalseth tried to think of something, anything, but there was nothing. No military to call, no reinforcements coming. The nearest Concordat battle fleet was 3 days away, and they probably weren't much better than this patrol anyway. The Concordat had forgotten how to fight, and now they were paying the price. Zixthor's ship shook as another blast hit. Panels exploded around him. Fire broke out in 3 sections. His tactical officer Vryn was bleeding from a head wound but still at her station. "Shields at 15%, she reported. "Weapons offline. Hull breaches on decks 2 and 3. "Abandoned ship order?" his first officer asked. Zixthor looked at the escape pod controls. They could run. But where would they go? The Kryloth would hunt them down, and even if they escaped, everyone on the station would die. 3,000 people. Scientists, diplomats, traders, families. "No," Zixthor said. "We stay, we fight as long as we can." It was a brave choice. It was also pointless. His weapons were offline. His ship was dying. He was dying. And there was nothing he could do about it. On the station, Ambassador Dalseth composed a final message to the Concordat Council. He described what was happening. The attack. The slaughter. The end of 300 years of peace. He hoped someone would remember. Would learn from this. Would prepare better than they had. He hit send just as the station's main shield generator exploded. The Kryloth were preparing boarding pods. They weren't just going to destroy the station. They were going to take it. Take everyone inside. Do things to them that the old records only hinted at. Then something changed. "New contact," Vryn shouted from her ruined station. "It's the Indomitable." "The human ship is moving." Zixthor pulled up what was left of his sensors. The human warship had been sitting quiet since the attack started. He assumed they were running. Smart choice. Why would they fight for strangers? But they weren't running. The Indomitable was accelerating, straight toward the Kryloth fleet. 1 ship, 20 enemies. It was suicide. Captain Chen's voice came through all frequencies. "Concordat vessels, fall back to the station. Cover the civilians. We'll handle the Kryloth." Handle them? Was she insane? Captain Talara thought so. "Human vessel, you cannot engage that fleet alone." "Retreat, save yourselves." Chen's response was brief. "With respect, Captain, this is what we do." Indomitable out. The human warship accelerated faster, much faster than should be possible. The forces involved should crush the crew, kill them all, but the ship kept accelerating, racing toward the Kryloth fleet at speeds that made Concordat vessels look like they were standing still. Smaller ships launched from the Indomitable. Dozens of them. Tiny attack craft that flew like angry insects. Zixthor's damaged sensors could barely track them. The Kryloth, amused by this new target, turned their weapons toward the human ship. All 20 vessels focused their fire on the Indomitable. Enough firepower to destroy a small moon, enough to vaporize any Concordat ship instantly. The human shields flared bright blue. They held. Impossible. No shields could take that much punishment. Then the humans opened fire. Zixthor had seen Concordat weapons, beams and torpedoes, energy weapons that took time to charge and recharge, civilized weapons designed to disable, not destroy. Human weapons were not civilized. Solid projectiles flew from the Indomitable at speeds his sensors couldn't believe. They hit Kryloth ships like hammers from hell. Missiles swarmed out in the hundreds, each one hunting its target with machine intelligence. Laser batteries fired continuously, cutting through Kryloth armor like it wasn't there. A Kryloth heavy cruiser took a direct hit from something. The ship didn't just explode. It came apart in chunks, its core detonating like a small star. The Kryloth stopped laughing. They started dying instead, and the human ship was just getting started. Commander Zixthor had seen simulations of ancient battles, historical records from the old wars before the Concordat brought peace. He thought he understood combat. He was wrong. What the humans did wasn't combat. It was art. Terrible, beautiful, deadly art. The Indomitable didn't just fight. It danced. The massive warship twisted through space in patterns that should rip it apart. It dove between Kryloth vessels, weapons firing from every angle. Each movement was precise, calculated. Like the ship knew exactly where every enemy was and exactly how to hurt them. The human fighter craft were even worse. They moved like living things. Darting, weaving, attacking in coordinated swarms. A group of 5 fighters would hit a Kryloth ship from different angles at the same moment. Another group would disable weapon systems while a third destroyed engines. They worked together with perfect timing. How are they doing that? Bryn asked from her damaged station. The forces involved. The crew should be dead from the acceleration. Zixthor watched his sensors. She was right. The Indomitable was pulling maneuvers that generated forces no organic crew could survive. Unless, their crew must be incredibly tough, or they have technology we don't understand, or both. On the Indomitable's bridge, Captain Chen sat in her command chair, calm as ice. Screens surrounded her, showing every angle of the battle. Her crew worked at their stations with mechanical efficiency. They had done this before. Maybe not against the Kryloth specifically, but they had fought. Really fought. It showed in every action. Railgun batteries 3 and 4 target that cruiser's power core, Chen ordered. Fighter Wing Alpha, I need you on that carrier. Disable their launch bays. Wing Beta, screen our port side. They're trying to flank us. Aye, Captain. Voices responded instantly. No hesitation, no fear. Just professional warriors doing their jobs. The railguns fired. Tungsten projectiles accelerated to 3% of light speed. They hit the Kryloth cruiser exactly where Chen ordered. The ship's power core exploded, taking half the vessel with it. Debris scattered into space. A Kryloth weapon struck the Indomitable's shields. They flickered but held. The shield generators ran hot, adapting to the enemy weapons in real time. Human engineers had learned long ago that static defenses didn't work. Everything had to adapt. Everything had to evolve during battle. Shield strength at 70%, the tactical officer reported, adjusting frequency to compensate for enemy weapons. Rotate shield modulation every 15 seconds, Chen ordered. Don't let them find a pattern. The Kryloth were trying. They were good fighters with powerful ships, but they fought like species that hadn't faced real opposition in centuries. They used standard tactics, predictable approaches. They expected their size and firepower to win. Humans didn't fight that way. Humans had spent thousands of years fighting other humans. Every tactic had been tried. Every weakness had been exploited. Every mistake had been paid for in blood. Humanity's wars had been brutal teachers, and humans had learned every lesson. War Master Thraknor commanded the Kryloth flagship. He stared at his displays in growing disbelief. How was this possible? One ship, one pathetic alien ship, and his fleet was dying. 5 of his vessels were destroyed. 3 more were crippled and drifting. The rest were taking heavy damage, and that human ship barely showed signs of wear. All vessels focus fire on the enemy, Thraknor roared. Overwhelm their defenses. They cannot stand against the might of the Kryloth Empire. But they could. The human ship moved between his vessels like a knife through flesh. Its weapons never stopped firing. Never missed. His own ships were getting in each other's way, afraid to fire at full power because they might hit their own allies. The humans had no such fear. They knew exactly where everything was. They fired with confidence, their weapons striking true while their ship dodged return fire with impossible precision. A wing of human fighters attacked Thraknor's flagship. Small craft, barely larger than escape pods. He almost laughed. What could such tiny ships do? They flew straight at his vessel's main gun emplacements. Point defense systems tried to shoot them down, missed. The fighters were too fast, too agile. They fired small missiles at close range. The missiles hit the gun barrels directly, destroying them from the inside. Then the fighters were gone, racing away before his crew could react. In seconds, they had disabled his flagship's main weapons, with precision that seemed impossible. These are not explorers, Thraknor said quietly. These are apex predators. On Harmony 7 station, everyone watched the battle on screens. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. They just stared in shock as one human ship dismantled a Kryloth fleet. Ambassador Dalseth felt something he hadn't felt in his entire life. Fear. Not of the Kryloth, though they were terrifying. Fear of humans, these people who looked soft and weak. These people who the Concordat had patronized and looked down on. These people were the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. They're not even using all their weapons, a military analyst whispered. Look at the power readings. They're holding back. This is them going easy. That thought made Dalseth's blood cold. This was them being gentle? The battle lasted 27 minutes. 27 minutes for one human ship to destroy or cripple 20 Kryloth vessels. The remaining Kryloth ships tried to retreat. The human fighters pursued, not to destroy, Dalseth realized, but to make sure they kept running. To make sure they spread the word about what happened here. The last Kryloth ship, War Master Thraknor's crippled flagship, sent one final transmission. The words were in the Kryloth language, but the emotion was clear even through the translator. Terror. Pure, absolute terror. Then that ship jumped to hyperspace and was gone. The battle was over. The Indomitable stopped moving. It hung in space, surrounded by debris and wreckage. Its hull showed scars from weapons impacts, but it was intact. Functional. Ready to fight again if needed. The human fighters returned to their ship, landing with the same precision they had shown in combat. Everything the humans did was precise, efficient, professional. Captain Chen's voice came through the station speakers. Harmony 7, this is Indomitable. Threat neutralized. Do you require further assistance? Threat neutralized. She said it like she was reporting completed maintenance work. Like she hadn't just won a battle that should have been impossible. Like this was routine. Commander Zixthor sat in his damaged ship bleeding from a dozen small wounds. His crew was injured. His vessel was barely functioning. And they hadn't even hurt a single Kryloth ship. But one human warship had destroyed an entire fleet. He pulled up the battle data, reviewing what had just happened. The speed, the accuracy, the tactics, every move planned, every shot calculated. This wasn't luck. This wasn't advanced technology alone. This was experience. Deep, hard-earned experience in warfare. Captain Chen had said something during the dinner. Her species had spent most of its existence fighting itself. Thousands of years of war, thousands of years of learning how to kill efficiently. The galaxy had 300 years of peace. Humanity had thousands of years of war. And now Zixthor understood. Which one prepared you better for moments like this? Get me a direct line to Captain Chen, he said. To what was left of his communication system. I need to know how they did this. I need to understand. Because the galaxy needed to understand. The Kryloth were still out there, and if there were more threats like them, the Concordat needed to learn from the only species that knew how to face them. They needed to learn from humanity. The news spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. Actually faster than that. Communications networks lit up with the impossible story. One human warship. 20 Kryloth vessels. Complete victory for the humans. Nobody believed it at first. Then the data arrived. Sensor recordings from a dozen Concordat ships. Video from Harmony 7 station. The evidence was undeniable. Humanity had just announced itself to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. On the Concordat Council homeworld, the emergency session lasted 16 hours. Council members watched the battle recording over and over. Some were terrified. Some were excited. All of them knew that everything had changed. We must ally with humanity immediately, one counselor argued. Better to have them as friends than enemies. We should be careful, another countered. They are too violent, too comfortable with warfare. They could destabilize the entire Concordat. Destabilize? A third asked. The Kryloth almost destroyed one of our stations. Our patrol fleet was useless. We need humanity's help, whether we like it or not. The debate continued. Meanwhile, on Harmony 7, repairs were underway. Human engineering teams had come aboard the station to help. They fixed things faster and better than the station's own crew. They were efficient at everything. Ambassador Dalseth watched a human engineer repair a shield generator in half the time a Concordat technician would need. The human hummed a tune while she worked, casual and relaxed. Like the battle yesterday never happened. Like she didn't just survive the most violent combat engagement in 300 years. How do you do it? Dalseth asked her. The engineer looked up, confused. Do what, sir? Stay so calm. After the battle. After all that death. You're just working like it's a normal day, she shrugged. It is a normal day now. The fight's over. We won. People need help. So we help them. Can't change what happened. So we focus on what we can do now. That attitude seemed to sum up humanity. Practical. Forward-thinking. Not dwelling on the violence they had just committed because there was work to be done. Commander. Zixthor got his meeting with Captain Chen. They sat in a quiet conference room on the station. Just the two of them. Zixthor needed answers. How? He asked simply. How did you do it? Chen looked at him for a long moment before answering. Humanity spent most of its existence fighting itself. We had thousands of wars, big ones, small ones, wars that killed millions. We developed weapons, tactics, strategies. We learned how to fight efficiently because if we didn't, we died. But you're peaceful now, Zixthor said. You unified. You stopped fighting each other. We stopped fighting each other, Chen agreed. But we didn't forget how to fight. We just redirected it. Instead of using our skills against each other, we prepared to defend ourselves against whatever we might find in space. The Indomitable isn't even your best ship, Zixthor said. He had learned this from the human crew. You have stronger vessels. More advanced weapons, why? Because the universe is dangerous, Chen said. Maybe we're paranoid. Maybe our history made us too cautious. But when the Kryloth showed up, our paranoia paid off. We were ready. The Concordat wasn't. That hurt because it was true. The Concordat had grown soft, comfortable. They assumed peace would last forever. They were wrong. What do you want from us? Zixthor asked. The council is meeting now. They'll offer alliance, technology exchange, whatever you need. What do humans want? Chen smiled slightly. Information. We want to know what else is out here. What other threats exist? The Kryloth can't be the only dangerous species in the galaxy. We need threat assessments, military capabilities of all known factions, strategic maps. You want intelligence reports, Zixthor said. You want to know what you might have to fight. Knowledge is survival, Chen said. We don't want to conquer anyone. We don't want to rule the galaxy. But we need to know what's out there so we can protect ourselves, and maybe protect others too. The official Concordat delegation arrived the next day. 5 ambassadors and a military advisor. They offered humanity membership in the Concordat, full access to their technology and a formal defense treaty. In exchange, they wanted human military protection and access to human weapons. The human response surprised them again. We'll consider your offer, the human ambassador said. But we need time. We need to report back to Earth and get authorization. We can't make these decisions alone. The Concordat wasn't used to being told to wait. Most species jumped at the chance to join, but humans were different. Independent, they didn't trust easily. Across the galaxy, other species heard the news and reacted in their own ways. The Vrexian Empire immediately sent an embassy to make contact with humanity. The Selkari Collective began upgrading their defense systems, worried that if the Kryloth were active again, other ancient threats might follow. Smaller species sent messages of friendship and requests for protection. Some offered resources in exchange for human defense. Others just wanted to know more about these incredible warriors who had appeared from nowhere. The Kryloth message reached their empire. Warmaster Thraknor's warning spread through their space like wildfire. A new species, powerful, dangerous, do not engage. The Kryloth, who had terrorized the galaxy centuries ago, pulled back their forces and retreated deeper into unknown space. One human ship had changed the strategic balance of the entire galaxy. On Harmony 7, as the Indomitable prepared to depart, Ambassador Dalseth met with Captain Chen one final time. He had to ask the question that troubled him most. Captain Chen, your people are warriors without equal. You've proven that. But I must know, should we fear humanity? Are you conquerors? Will you take what you want by force? Chen was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. Ambassador, humans learned hard lessons through our bloody history. We learned that peace is better than war. We learned that cooperation is better than conquest. But we also learned something else. Peace only exists when good people are strong enough to defend it. She continued. The galaxy has been at peace for 300 years because nobody threatened it. The Kryloth proved that's changing. There are dangers out there. Maybe humanity's role is to face those dangers. We're not conquerors. We're guardians who know how to wage war so others don't have to. And if we refuse your help? Dalseth asked. If we say we don't want warriors in our peaceful galaxy? Then we'll leave, Chen said simply. We won't force ourselves on anyone. But when the next threat comes, and it will come, you'll wish you had someone who knows how to fight. She stood and extended her hand. Dalseth took it. The human grip was firm and warm. The galaxy is changing, Ambassador. The age of easy peace is over. You can either adapt or become victims. We hope you'll choose to adapt. The Indomitable undocked and began moving away from the station. Dalseth watched it go from the observation deck. Around him, Representatives from dozens of species did the same, all of them thinking the same thing. Some with hope, some with fear. A new power had entered the galaxy, a species that understood warfare at a fundamental level, a species that had perfected violence and then chose peace but never forgot the lessons of war. The Concordate Council would debate for weeks about what to do. Some wanted immediate alliance. Others wanted to keep humanity at arm's length. A few paranoid voices suggested humanity itself might become a threat. But Commander Zixthor, watching the human ship disappear into hyperspace, knew the truth. Humanity wasn't the threat. Humanity was the solution to threats the galaxy had forgotten existed. The Kryloth were just the first. There would be others. And when they came, the galaxy would need warriors. Real warriors. Not peacekeepers who played at soldier. Not patrol ships with ceremonial weapons. They would need humanity. The galaxy was about to learn what humans had known for thousands of years. Peace is precious. Worth fighting for. Worth dying for. But peace doesn't maintain itself. Someone has to stand guard. Someone has to be willing to do violence to protect the innocent. Humanity had volunteered for that duty, not because they wanted glory or power, but because they understood better than any other species what happened when good people weren't prepared to fight. The galaxy wondered what just happened when they first encountered a human warship. Now they knew. They had met their protectors. Scary, violent, efficient protectors who would stand between civilization and chaos, and the galaxy would never be the same.